Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some analysis on BITO, which is a new Bitcoin ETF, and we're also going to be using it along with the Bitcoin futures so we can actually get accurate levels, because obviously BITO hasn't been around long enough to be able to do the analysis. And that's the only problem with this ETF, is that we are going to have to wait a year for it to be able to use strictly for analysis, because until then we're going to have to use it alongside Bitcoin futures to see where our levels are. But the reason I am making the video on this is, well, right now there will be quite a lot of hype about it, because it's obviously going to interest a lot of investors that you can now trade it as an ETF, but it also provides a lot more of the viewers where they're more stock focused, able to trade now Bitcoin, because a lot of people probably don't trade futures, and so now you can trade Bitcoin on your normal stocks account. So that's why we're doing the analysis on this today. So firstly, obviously, as I said, we're going on the daily, we're going on the 4 hour, but we can't actually do any analysis on this. But you can see it does trade exactly like Bitcoin, because if we go over to the Bitcoin future, on the 1 minute chart, if we go into normal market hours, we can see that it does actually trade the same. You can see it comes into this level and did that same pullback. So what we can actually see now is we are in a pullback level for Bitcoin. Don't remember when I did the last analysis video, but if we check this, I think it was, okay, so it was probably around September 25th. That's when we plotted these levels, and you can see today that is still where the first deviation was. And it's coming to here, and that is exactly where the sell-off point started, and since then it's pulled back around 4 to 5%. So what do we see happening at this level? Yes, this could be kind of a top and turn into a reversal, as we are at an all-time high. But one thing to be keeping an eye on is that usually when Bitcoin breaks an all-time high, it tends to carry on. As you can see, kind of from this high, it still kind of carries on. So we would expect the same sort of thing to happen here. It's broken through this high, it's broken through a bit, and come into this level where we're now going to get a pullback. Where would we be looking at to go to? Probably 60,000, which would be this half deviation here. That's where we see the pullback level coming to, and then it would make sense for it to carry on, because this first deviation, this half deviation on the daily would also line up with the second deviation on the 4 hour. So this is most likely where the pullback will come to. So you can see this will most likely end up being a 10% pullback, 9.5% pullback, before continuing up. And then we see that push coming into around $70,500, and that's kind of our target for now. That's personally where I see it kind of stopping, at least for the time being. I think the reason has helped for this kind of push up right now, from more of a fundamental basis, will be the ETF getting accepted and being able to be traded. So I don't see it going or rallying miles from here, but I do see it hitting that 70,000 target before probably most likely kind of coming into a reversal, or at least a large pullback. If it does break through, what are our targets? 79,000 will be that next key target, along with the 81 or 82,000 as well. So again, those would be kind of our next key levels of targets if it was able to break and stay above the 70,000. And again, if it does continue, we just have to use a daily chart. We can see at 95,000 and 110,000 at all levels where we would most likely see resistance. But obviously those are far way off. So for right now, key levels we would be looking at is the pullback right now, most likely into 60,000 before continuing up, and then I do see 70,000 kind of being the top for the time being. And at a push, this 79 and 82,000 will be like kind of the absolute top, as personally, in my opinion, what I can see happening for now. But obviously, if you're trading it as a pullback way, it doesn't really matter, because you'll get a pullback here. You'll most likely get this pullback at 70,000 to 67 or 68,000. And then even if it does continue high off that level, we'll come into the 80,000, get a pullback probably to around 75,000. And then if we were to go again into 82,000, you're probably looking for a pullback to at least kind of 79,000. All you really need to be looking at on where these pullbacks most likely will end is kind of the next level of support. And for that support, we use deviations. And that's usually how we look at stocks, and that's exactly how we're going to be looking at Bitcoin as well. So these are the futures, which does trade very similarly to the actual Bitcoin. And then BITO now is also trading similar but well, it's off the futures instead of the actual Bitcoin. So there is the reason for there is a bit of a difference between the futures and Bitcoin, and then also between the ETF and actual Bitcoin. So that's kind of the overall analysis on Bitcoin. Again, if it continues down, we'll this kind of 53,000 to 52,000 is kind of going to be a key support area. If it breaks through below that 52, then that's where we see a kind of norm or a strong pullback for Bitcoin, and we could see it going back to kind of 40 or 30,000 in the near future once it broke through that level. But for right now, we are actually a bit more bullish on Bitcoin, especially when it kind of does our pullback that we would look for. But as it's already done this 5% pullback, I wouldn't look to short now. So for the reason for that is, yes, we have a target pullback of 60,000, but it doesn't mean it has to pull back to 60,000. And it's already pulled back 5%, which is the usual percentage on something like Bitcoin that we would look for. And as it kind of hit our target, or our entry target to that very position, we've got our 5% pullback if we were in the trade. And so now we wouldn't open a new position until it comes into kind of our long target at 60,000 to continue the uptrend, or another short down or up at 70,500. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and sorry, I know I'm not looking straight at the cameras because I'm going to use a different phone for this recording, and the camera's on the other side, and well, I'm just not used to it, so that's probably why you've noticed I've not been looking straight at the camera. But either way, hope you enjoyed the video, hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.